Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday, August 13th. It's Harp Tuesday. And this Tuesday, I thought I would just do a fairly short episode about four-fingered chords and finger independence. I'm going to be looking at some of these little exercises in Betty Pray's first harp book. A little while ago, one of my viewers emailed me to mention that she was finding that four-fingered chords, there was some pain involved, and she just wasn't able to play it as easily as she would like. And so I thought I would take this look at these exercises, which are, there's not a lot of them, but they do a pretty good job of promoting the idea of finger independence. In other words, of being able to freely play any particular finger, even if the rest of them are placed on the string, so that, you know, it's fairly easy to play four just by itself. It's a little bit more complicated when all the other fingers are on the strings. Or to play three, for example, it's probably the most difficult. But ideally, you do want to be able to play three or two, or be able to play any particular finger independent of what the other fingers are doing, and to do that in a pain-free way, obviously. So these chords these exercises are quite helpful. They start out with having you place a nice C chord, and then just playing four. So of course, right when we place, it's a great time to check hand position, make sure that it's not, fingers aren't pointing way down or something, or angled way out, that it's just nice, about a 45-degree angle, that our elbow isn't flopping down too much, that, it's comfortable, and that we have a reasonable amount of power there, and that we have some space here in the thumb, that things aren't collapsing in like this, so that, it looks, actually, I think I will zoom in just a little bit. So that you have a good hand position to start with. And then we're going to play four by itself. And the trick here is, if this feels awkward at all, or of course if there's any pain or anything, is to begin with, just think about just relaxing four and letting it go, so that you're sitting here without any tension in your hands. Everything's just really relaxed. Now, obviously, and I think I mentioned this in some episode or something, that sometimes to create a better sound, you can sort of press into the strings before playing, even if it's going to be quite quiet. And obviously, especially if it's going to be quite loud. But in this case, we're not preparing like that. We're not putting any tension in the hands or the fingers. Everything's just as relaxed as it can possibly be. And then you're just going to let that fourth finger just slide right off. Right? It's just you're not you're using the least amount of effort as possible. Gravity just wants to pull it down. We're kind of holding it up here. We're just going to let it just collapse right down. And whether, there's a little bit of sound right now, but that's kind of irrelevant. We're just getting used to that feeling of it playing. And this is a case where, while ideally we're sort of, we're closing into the palm, once we have all of our fingers out like this, closing all the way into the palm could be painful and require effort, which is not what we're looking for. We're just looking for that sort of flopping motion down. And it's only there when two came off, you're able to close it into the palm, but you don't need to close all the way into the palm if it's going to cause pain. It's just, we have this general idea of to play a string, it's just closing into the palm, but not to the extent that it's going to cause any pain. So four is just flopping right off. Gravity's just pulling it down. And then eventually we can maybe try applying a little bit of pressure and starting to get some sound. And again, the thing to be always conscious of here is tension. Is there any unnecessary tension anywhere? That make sure the hand, the wrist, the arm, the shoulder, your body is as relaxed as possible. And that it's just the parts, just the muscles that actually need to be working. Those are the only ones that are working. Then, of course, we can do the same thing with 3. And 3 is typically, that's, the way our fingers are put together, our hands put together. This is going to be difficult, especially the first time you try it. So that we can think of the same thing of just relaxing, letting gravity take it down, closing in. And again, I don't know how well this is showing up, but it's not going in, it's stopping about here. It's not going all the way into the palm. That causes me some pain right here. It's if my other fingers are out like this. It's just closing to the extent that it's comfortable. And again, taking this time to just make sure, is there any tension anywhere that doesn't need to be there? Just relaxing. And then the same thing with 2. This will probably be the easiest. And again, as you can see here, it's closing in. It's not going all the way in, which requires a lot of force. It's just closing as much as is comfortable. And finally, the thumb, which will probably, actually, I guess the thumb will probably be the easiest, because we've gotten used to doing that, whether there's, just 2 or 3 or 4. So that's the first set of exercises. Then we can start trying alternating. And again, if any sort of tension or pain is creeping into the hand, don't overdo it, and try to keep it as relaxed as possible. You're not normally going to be in that position of having all these and say playing, but it's helpful to just do it to the extent that you can, to help promote that finger independence. So if you'd come across a piece where that would be the most efficient way to do something, you're going to be able to do that. Then, of course, we can do and finally and then we start breaking it down with 4 and 2. And 3 and 1. And then we get something that's probably going to feel even more unusual, and that's playing chords while we're still placing. So we're going to play 3 and 4. So in this case, you can just, again, think you're just going to relax those fingers, not worry about if they're coming off at the same time. You're just going to slide down that's fine. You're just relaxed, maybe 2 slides off as well. And now getting used to this idea of playing 3 and 4 as a chord while 1 and 2 are still on the strings. And you may find that you're getting something like that. So analyze that. What am I hearing first? Exaggerate it. Let's see. Am I hearing... Nope, I'm hearing... Right, I'm hearing 4 is coming before 3. So then practice playing 3 first. Then we get the middle 2 and 3. And 1 and 2. Then we can do the outside. Ha ha ha, 4 and 1. So again, you know, if when first you go to do it, you think, you know, maybe your brain sends a signal, tells your hand, hey, do this, and then your hand goes, what? That's not possible. If it feels really weird, you just really relaxed. Just focus on that first, the thumb and the 4th finger, and you're just gonna, the 4th finger is just gonna close down. The thumb's just going to fall off. And we also have so again, same thing, just letting those relax. Or and finally, she has this little which maybe not quite as much value out of that, but still, and then of course you can also do, and finally. Now, Salcedo did some exercises which include more on the same line where you're going. Etc. Or stuff like that. So you can, if you're looking at promoting finger independence, those can be fun to work on as well. And of course, in both cases, you'd be doing the same thing then with the left hand. And oops, we can't really see that, can we? There we go. Let's zoom back out again. But we'd, you know. I don't know how well you can actually see what's happening with the fingers on that, but same thing. So the thing to think about then in terms of finger independence is, first of all, it helps to do exercises like this because we don't necessarily come across some of these things too often in pieces, but then when we do, you know, maybe something like this or something like this, it really helps to have practiced something like that beforehand. And so these exercises can be a great way to just spend a little time working on that and making it so that your fingers can operate independently. And the other thing to think about, of course, is making sure that it's as relaxed as possible, and that paying attention to your body, if there's pain happening, just trying to see if there's unnecessary tension, and also just don't do it if it's causing you pain. What's that old joke, guy comes into the doctor and says, doctor, it hurts so much when I do whatever it is. The doctor says, well, don't do that. So but yeah, just trying to just be as relaxed as possible when you're doing these things that your fingers and hand are going to feel are rather strange. So that's all I have for this week, and I will see you in a couple of weeks' time. Take care. Cheers.